Welcome back to the Hard Copy Media Podcast. I'm Colton Tursick, your host and the owner of Hard Copy Media, and I am joined once again today by my good buddy, J.T. Healy. J.T., how's it going?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, I hope it's fantastic. You're sitting here with me, so if you're not doing well,
yeah.
I hope you wouldn't.
And
I
got this great reminder of
where we are,
and what we're doing.
Not that this is your studio space or anything that I've helped tastefully add some equipment to.
You've only enhanced.
It's true. For anybody who doesn't know, actually, we do record these in JT's studio space here in Gainey Ranch. I've kind of helped remodel some things, provided some equipment, but this is his space. This is something you've done photo, video, a whole bunch of stuff in here.
We like to maximize this space.
Yes.
So whether it's podcasts, whether it's like products, whether it's headshots, Yeah.
There's a lot we do here. But
like if people could only see like this part of the room, they'd be like, what is even happening here?
It all makes sense, okay? Ignore the umbrella stands. They just help with floor space.
They're great.
That's not why we're here today. We're not here to talk about the studio. You've been on the podcast before, and today I want to dive into something that you're exceptionally good at, if I do say so myself, and that's event coverage. Okay, so if you're a marketer and you're putting on an event, you might be looking to hire a photographer, a videographer. Maybe you just know, man, we spent all this money and all this branding and everything. We want to have, assets to show for it, whether it's internal or for company culture or if it's public and marketing facing. Or if you're a videographer or, a video business owner and you know that corporate events are possibly a bread and butter kind of business, venture for you. I think this is going to be a valuable discussion because you and I have both done a lot of events. We've worked a couple of events together. Mm-hmm. But you, last year ran a really large event here in the Valley with a team. So we've done things solo and, with teams as well. Mm-hmm. And so I think, we've got a lot to say on this particular topic, I feel like.
I promise that I won't go over the time limit.
Okay, well,
because I know you're hungry, and I don't want to mess with that.
We put fresh cards in the camera, and yes, we do need to get some food after this because I am starving, but I don't want that to compromise the discussion. So talk to me first a little bit about how you approach an event as a solo shooter. Let's talk corporate first because fitness is really your passion, and I want to talk about that because it's frankly, no offense to my corporate, friends, but it's way more exciting. Usually. It depends on the corporate event. But talk to me about, your strategy, how you go into it. What are you looking for? In your head, even if I know you're a big pre-pro guy, so even if you haven't put out a shot list, let's say you were thrown into it, what shots are you absolutely getting? How are you looking at it? Telling the story of the, the event. What do you do to make sure your, corporate client is happy? Kind of walk me through your process.
So if I have advance notice, we can do some thorough pre-production. What I always like to do first is start with that conversation with the client of defining what they actually want from the event. So do they want testimonials? Do they want a highlight video? Mm-hmm. Do they just want some type of corporate culture piece celebrating their employees there? Is it an external event where they're bringing in, their clients, so clients of that business as a celebration? Is it a big, sales? So getting the idea of what this event actually is, how many people are going to be there, what do you want to have happen, all that. And then as soon as I grab all that information, I have a thorough understanding of all that, I then look at the venue itself. So if it's a local venue, I might even drive there and check it out local here to Phoenix. Typically it's not because I'm typically traveling, but I try to do as much research as possible about that venue. So if they've done a walkthrough, try to grab some information about that. They need to connect me with the event planner, event manager, the hotel, whomever, just to gather as much information as I can to make my life a lot easier for that pre-production aspect. Once I do that, then I'll start building the shot list in based off of their agenda. So if it's a 3-day event, I have the 3-day event, I have every single minute dialed in. And I'm talking
That's true. I've seen his event planning runs of shows. I think 5-minute increments was the one that you and I worked together on. I knew exactly where to be and when to be.
Yeah. I mean, even little things hey, don't forget to eat or grab water because I'll be the first to tell you that I forget those things.
I think you left those off of my run of show.
Yes, so I did.
I don't think I ate or drank.
I just wanted you to be hungry out there. But yeah, so I dial in that actual shot list. So it's detailed to the point of like I have like all of the information of key people that are going to be a part of this, their phone numbers. So I know who is in charge of what, and if I need something, I contact this person. And then I break down each day, and then within each day I break down, whether it's hourly, whatever it is, based off the agenda they provide me. And then within that, I have different shots that I'm looking for. So to answer your question about, what I look for as far as like a shot list and all of those things, the actual physical like shots, not like all the things I just described there. I like to think of like me walking in, like, what are the things that attract my attention, or like, how do I place someone that's not here in the room with us? Like, if we're at a hotel, we're at a certain venue, wherever we are, like, I need to show where we are. And then you have to answer the basic questions of like, all right, who's there? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? All of those things. So I'll run through, I'll do all the establishing shots. So everything from, the actual venue that we're in, the different rooms that we're in, wherever it may be, I'm doing all of that. And then I'm pulling in detailed shots of like signage, of any type of branding, swag, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then I'm looking at people. I need to grab people. Once I grab different shots of people and things like that, I then will review that shot list that I've outlined. Okay, here's where I'm at. Let me take a look. Okay, I have this, and start knocking things out. And then you look at that shot list and you're like, okay, what are the holes that I need to actually fill? And then you go out and do it. So long story short, it's the establishing shots into detailed shots of the actual branding, swag, all that kind of stuff, into the people.
Gotcha. Okay, so a good kind of like an outward in kind of approach.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
From like wide to tight if you were to be on like lenses and stuff.
Yep. And what's great about that too is you're not running around with like two different cameras and you're doing this. Like I'll have one camera set up for my wides. I'll have another, and this is if you're fortunate enough to have multiple cameras, and then I'll have a camera that's set for tights. And I know if I have this camera, the only shots that I am getting on this camera, on this SD card, are establishing, shots. Right? If it's the detailed shots, I'm only getting detailed shots. And then that's how you keep things straight, when you go into edit.
Yeah, no, I think that's a huge point, especially because like, let's say like a 3-day corporate event, like you can end up easily with a few hundred gigabytes of footage, if not a terabyte or more, especially if you're recording like testimonials or case study interviews with, members of their staff, or if you're recording anything on stage, people giving presentations, like those are long recordings that chew up a lot of data. And that is, I think, a gift of having multiple cameras or multiple shooters. Is like, hey, you're shooting tight, I'm shooting wide, We're not shooting the same thing, because in the edit you're going to need contrast. You need tight shots, wide shots, medium shots, you need people, you need branding, you need to set the scene and then also tell the story of what goes on there.
So yeah, my setup for individuals would be that. And then, so to hit on your next point that I know you want to eventually get to, the idea of like having a team.
Yeah.
So the difference with the team is now what I thought was a detailed shot list is now revved up even more. So it's assigning people different shots or different places that they need to be.
Yeah.
So I know that if there's a speaker on a stage and we need that speaker video, okay, Nancy's on tripod, very static. I'm walking around on handheld because I'm typically a handheld guy.
I'm doing a handheld guy.
I'm doing like mediums, right? And then I have someone else that's doing tights.
Okay.
Right? And I tell that person that's doing tights, hey, I only want you to grab audience reactions.
Yep.
I got someone that's grabbing the speaker and the speech. I got me running around just doing some fun stuff. And then I got that person strictly doing. So you have to be very detailed with your delegation of what you actually want that videographer, photographer to do.
Yeah.
Because they don't know your vision unless you tell them.
That's very true. And that can change if you've worked with the same crew for a long time.
With us, I don't have to tell you anything.
Yeah, no. I mean, last time we worked together, you did have 2 cameras. I was only rocking 1, but I was on a 100 to 400. So you knew no matter what I was shooting, I was getting tights. And that helped you get mediums. Right. You still shot a couple of tights because it was our first time working a big event like that together. And you had to make sure.
Coverage.
Yeah. we were shooting in 2 different sides of the arena, but that's fitness. We'll get there. We're still on corporate.
Yep.
But one thing that I think that you said that I think is really important is that you still had 3 different shot sizes.
Yes.
So I've seen a lot of like, beginner event coverage where all the shots are the same size. And what I mean by that is that like if you're shooting on a 35, you are never playing with that focal length. You're never bringing a subject closer or further from the lens. You're just kind of walking around with the camera. Mm-hmm. And I think that no matter how good your editor is, will always lead to a boring edit because you don't have more variation. You don't have more contrast between your shots. So whether you're working with a team or individually and you're working a corporate event, always get all the branding and information to tell the story of this. Frankly, if you're at a corporate event, they probably spent a ton of money on that branding.
A ton.
And somebody's going to be really happy it's in the video. So always shoot the branding. But shoot wides, mediums, and tights of that. When it comes to people, especially if it's B-roll, audience reaction, stuff like that, wide, medium, tight. When it comes to the speakers, if you can, and I know that's a big if because gear's expensive, cameras are expensive, depends on the budget of the event, wide, medium, tight goes a long way. Or a wide and a tight on your speaker can go a long way for helping to keep the edit going.
Yeah, so variety of focal length, variety of handheld, tripod, you're on the sticks, so a stabilizer. Like having that variation too, if you can. If you're fortunate enough to have that equipment, that's great. If not, there's plenty of ways that you can work around it. But yeah, the corporate events, you just need to have really good pre-production. Mm-hmm. And then while you're there, you need to have the conscious mind of thinking through that shot list, referring it to, having it on your phone or whatever, but also like consciously being like, okay, I've already gotten a wide shot of this speaker on stage and I'm moving left to right. I don't need that 3 more shots of that because if it's you editing, you're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of clips. If it's someone that you're hiring out, they're going to charge more money because they have to review more stuff. Everything. And if you're getting the same shot over and over again, what are you doing?
Yeah. I think that's also another really important point is like, and I think this is something that only comes with time and like reps.
Yep.
Is like I still find myself overshooting events sometimes, especially if it's like a really like charismatic speaker or something exciting is going on. Because sometimes you don't know when you're going to get that like magic moment, and that's
the audience pop, right?
Yeah. The audience cheers for something that was really funny. Those are harder to kind of get a feel for.
Yes.
But I feel like newer, event shooters tend to overshoot because they're worried about missing something.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so important, like you said, to have that shot list either written down or internalized or memorized or like on your Google Glasses or whatever the hell it is nowadays. Like know if you've gotten the coverage that you need. And that's actually saved my bacon a few times on corporate events where I've been either working for an agency or working directly for the company and they provided me the shot list. Mm-hmm. Then, I know, hey, cool, I got people mixing and mingling. I got the speakers on the stage. I got the bar. I got the signage, and I've gotten some wides. Let me go double check with my contact, kind of show them, kind of where I'm at with things. And, hey, has anything else come up? Are you missing anything? Hey, here's an idea I had. Like, it still gives you a base point to know, like, hey, the brief is good. The shot list is good. Then I can get weird with it. Then I can have fun.
You're spot on. And you brought up a really good point. So, like, when you are there, communication is like so key. Mm-hmm. So whenever you arrive, you need to go up to, if there's in corporate events, typically there's like a sound person that's like a local AV guy. Yep. You need to go up to that local AV guy, introduce yourself. Hey, here's what I'm thinking as far as like the hookup goes. This is if you don't already have the conversation in like pre-con or like something like that. So you walk up, you introduce yourself, and then you find your main, whether you want to call it a stakeholder, whatever, you find them, you introduce themselves if you haven't met in person. But then you're like, okay, throughout the day, I'm just going to give you some updates just to let you know. Mm. But then that allows you to walk up to, him or her throughout the day. And if all of a sudden, if you notice something, if they're running behind, if they're running ahead, if you notice something as far as like, hey, the lighting's a little bit off, or hey, it sounded like the audio was, you have the ability now to go up to that person and to have that transparency so that instead of them expecting certain things in the edit, if you tell them right there, sight on scene, that this happened, so we can't do this anymore, but what we can do is this, it's invaluable.
That's really true. I had an event one time where I was just doing photo, but it was on stage. They had LED walls behind him and everything, and just the way the contract was negotiated is I was there to shoot with their camera. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was not bringing any of my own gear, and their camera didn't have a flicker reduction setting. It was a Sony camera without a flicker reduction setting, and these LED walls were banding so badly, and I no matter what I did, shutter speed, ISO. Like, there was no setting in the camera that would allow me to change the flicker of these lights. So, like, in everything I shot on stage, the LED walls were, the refresh rate bands in the background. And I immediately, like, snapped a couple pictures and, like, showed them. And they're like, oh, yeah, it does that every year. And, like, I was freaking out. I was like, there's no setting. There's no flicker reduction. There's nothing I can do to make this banding not happen.
Right.
Like, I can make them thinner or longer bands if I adjust my, my shutter speed, but that's basically it.
Yeah.
And they were like totally chill with it. They were like, yeah, no, that happens every year. And I'm like, oh, okay. But again, it was having that conversation and like not being afraid to show like, hey, look, this is what, went down. Because it's live events are live events. Like it is literally happening in real time in front of you. Like things can go wrong, stuff can get messed up. Before we move on to fitness, which I think is going to be a lot more fun to talk about.
They're both very fun to talk about.
They're both
what are
very
you
fun.
talking about? Come on now.
If you had to only get like 2 pieces of gear to start doing corporate events, maybe 2 is too little. But if you had to only
I'll tell you
the
my
bare minimum,
yeah.
what are you getting to do corporate events successfully and at a good quality level?
Yep. So camera, I'm going to leave that up to you. That's your budget.
Fair.
Whatever camera you think is best. I shoot with the FX3. I haven't found anything for that price point that matches it or is better.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Fantastic camera.
The next thing would be the lens choice would be a 24-70.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, 24 will give you, it's wide enough, right? Is it going to be like a real estate wide? No, but 24 is wide enough, and then 70 can allow that zoom into 70, still provides those detail shots that you're looking for. So it's like, there's a lot of times where I'll bring a bunch of lenses and the 24-70 is the only one that I use. Because you just have so much flexibility with that. So I'd say camera, I'd say lens, and then you definitely need to have some type of audio source. If you have the luxury to have a digital recorder that you can plug into, the audio that's there with the AV person, great. If maybe that's outside your budget, you need to have at least an onboard, actual microphone itself. And again, I'll leave it up to your budget. Typically, the more that you spend on something like that, the better quality it is. But as we've mentioned in a previous time that we've had a conversation, is that you have Adobe Podcast to help clean that up. So
that's true.
I'd say definitely camera body. I suggest the FX3, 24-70. And then I would say you need either a tripod or a monopod. I can go either way on this. I'm more of a tripod person. And the reason why you would need a tripod is for those steady shots of someone being on stage and speaking. You don't want to have, and I've had this many times because I'm handheld, is like your back will just start blowing up and you'll start shaking, and you might not realize it in the moment, but when you get back into editing.
And Warp Stabilizer is not as good as Adobe Podcast.
It's not.
AI. It's not. I need Warp Stabilizer AI Adobe. If you guys could get on that, please. Just improve that product.
So and then the other thing I like about a tripod too is I've had like cameras and camera lenses fall off of monopods. And that's scarred me enough to like never want to use one. I have one. I barely use it. But the advantage with a monopod is that, it obviously takes up less space and you can move around a little bit more easy with it. So if you're at an event and, you want to make sure your shots are 100% stable, which that's a creative decision. That's completely up to you. I don't see it necessarily needed to have a complete stable all the time shot. But that monopod will allow you to kind of pick up, set up, grab the shot of like people interacting. Okay, next one. And you can kind of move around the room that way as an alternative. Yeah.
I have a Manfrotto monopod that I do love using for events where I'm not going to be on a gimbal, but I'm not going to be handheld either. It's a great, it breaks down real quick. If you need to go handheld, you could rip the camera right off. I would second everything you said, but I'm going to be a little more specific. Get a recorder that has 32-bit float. So sometimes your sound guy, bless them, in the room will give you a hot line out. And if you peak that line and you go back to check out your speaker's video later and the whole time their mic is peaking in your recorder, you're going to cry in the edit, and peaked audio is almost impossible to recover in any semblance of intelligent way, even with Adobe Podcast AI, because it's basically making up vocal intonation that doesn't exist. But Podcast AI it's the best tool I've seen to help fix clipped, at least human speaking audio. Clipped music, whole separate ball of wax,
Right.
very, very, very hard to fix.
Right.
But I recently got the Zoom H6 and whatever, the new little Zoom handy recorder that does 32-bit float internal, which is like raw for audio. So even if that line comes in super duper quiet, you can boost the gain up cleanly. And if it comes in too hot, you can pull it down without clipping. So that is one thing that like spend a little extra money on, because sound is like the one thing that like you can't fudge. You know, like especially
Yes.
for a corporate event, like if you've got
That's
the
so
CEO of a
important.
company on stage speaking and you've clipped their audio in the recording, it does not matter how good your shot looks.
Right.
They're going to remember that they sounded like some sort of deranged robot, or that they were yelling the whole time.
And I'll expand on that. So the other thing too is a lot of the times, you know, you're creating a moment, so you're getting that audio, but then that audio can then be, if you know you're looking at yourself as a business, that audio can then be repurposed in some type of social clip down the road or something like that. So if you're looking to build a deeper relationship, you might do a corporate event, but it doesn't stop when the event ends. That's just like the beginning really of that relationship, because you're going to create all the assets they want for that event. But then you also have an opportunity, if you collect really good audio, be like, hey, business owner, while I was at the event, I noticed there's a lot of good sound bites and things like that. I'd love to put together like a mini project of these clips and have like really cool like visuals, you know, whether it's an Instagram reel if they're on Instagram, or whether it's just like clips that they can use on their website. So whatever, LinkedIn. But then that gives you another opportunity to have an additional sales conversation.
Yeah.
And it's someone that you're already working with. You don't have to get all their branding out. You don't have to build a relationship. You don't have to get all their colors, their fonts, down the road. So that's why audio is important, because it can be repurposed in so many ways. This podcast, like, if it has bad audio,
God forbid.
it'd be awful. If it has bad video, we still have the really good audio, and then we can just throw B-roll over top of it.
A lot of B-roll, but yeah. Sorry to whoever's editing this. No, so now let's talk a little bit about fitness events.
Okay.
Now, corporate events are usually, in a ballroom at a hotel,
Very
somewhere,
structured.
pretty structured. There's
Yes.
already an agenda.
Yeah.
Fitness events try to be that way. They can be that way.
Right.
Sometimes they run a little behind schedule. Sometimes they run a little ahead of schedule. But it also varies, though, because you're not necessarily always there to promote the competition. Sometimes you're there to capture specific athletes or a specific event within that competition. They can be spread out over a lot larger of an area than one corporate ballroom and a reception area out front. So talk to me a bit about your process going into, let's say, an outdoor fitness event. Again, first as a solo shooter, second as a team.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. And for those that like aren't familiar with like the fitness world and like fitness competition stuff, it really is like a wedding. Like you have
a good analogy.
placeholders of time slots, and you have a rough idea of like what necessarily is going to happen, but you don't have the movements 100% dialed in to like, you don't know if someone's going to have a really good workout or a really bad workout. In weddings, it's like, you don't know if someone's going to like accidentally not be able to, yell Mazel Tov and break the glass. They might have picked the wrong glass, and they picked this actually happened. They picked a real glass instead of like a tempered glass that just kind of breaks on impact. So like all of those things are really what makes it different. So think corporate events, structured, detailed, like dialed in, and they typically run on time. My relationships within the fitness industry, specifically with those competition aspect, typically it's 3 different buckets. So either an athlete hires me to come out and create assets for them. A brand hires me to come out, create content around their athletes, or a competition hires me to come in and create content around their competition. And those are 3 very distinct things. My strategy is to just deliver on whatever they've asked for, but to do it in a very quick fashion. So what's different about filming an actual like fitness event and filming like a corporate event is like the corporate event, typically, you're doing something for a longer period of time, whereas a CrossFit event, you're doing something for a short amount of time. So what I can do is I focus on grabbing different shots of each movement that happens during a workout or during a competition, and then mashing that together, putting that together, but not overshooting, because if you overshoot, then you have a deliverable that's like, it takes you way too long to turn it around. And brands typically want something like while the event is happening.
Yeah, they want that same day edit.
Right. So, Colton athlete, right? Which you are. Colton's
Thank you. That's bold praise.
Colton's working with hard copy media, right? Hard copy media, they want coverage of him during the event. So I have Colton's schedule laid out. I know what lane he's going, what time he's going, and the workout that he's actually doing. So the movements. And then from there, I'm developing that schedule. So I know when I'm following him around. And then in between your events, so in between when you're doing things, when there's some downtime, I'm diving into the footage and like, okay, what do I have so far? What do I need more of? Do I have some sound bites, things like that? And then
Sure, I have seen you edit on your laptop sitting on a hill in the middle of like an event, and it's just like dump a card. I don't even think you dumped the card. I think you edited off the card, put together the deliverable, rendered it, sent it, closed the laptop back in the backpack, and then we were on.
Because it's all about speed and efficiency. It's like I don't want to overshoot and I want to be quick.
Yeah,
and that's what makes the fitness industry a lot different. The other thing is on the athlete side. Typically, athletes are a little bit more understanding of you like taking a little bit longer, and kind of doing like a full day recap as opposed to like individual events or individual things that are happening, which makes life a lot easier. But I still do the same process of like, all right, let me grab the footage, bring it in, see what I have, see what I need, a little bit more of, all that kind of stuff. And then the final thing is the competition. All of that stuff's done months in advance.
Yeah.
A local competition I'm doing here in Arizona, Desert City Classic, like we're doing stuff right now for an event that's happening in November.
Yeah. It's a full marketing plan if you're working for like a major organization that does annualized events.
Yeah. So I know I keep honing on pre-production and all that kind of stuff, but it really is true. With that, as far as like with a team, so outside of me with a team, the difference there is you need to be very intentional with your communication.
Yeah.
When you're at these fitness events and you have those 3 buckets of clients, it's really important that you tell people where to be, when to be, and what you want to have happen. A lot of the times people get caught up in like, oh, I just need you to film. It's like, okay, then we have 2 videographers filming the exact same athlete in the exact same way that are on the floor.
Comes back to contrast. You need varying shot sizes. You need varying energy. You need varying, parts of the movement.
Yeah. And when you're building a team, I intentionally try to hire people that are completely different than me.
Well,
except for you. It's just so important on the fitness side of things. Like have someone in the crowd that's filming from the crowd into the actual workout. Have someone that's on the floor that's right in that athlete's face. Have someone that's like off to the left or the right that's grabbing like all of the things that are happening. So I don't know if that answers your question, but those are just like my general thoughts of when it comes to like the fitness side of things.
No, I mean, I think that does answer my question. I mean, I know I have the
you have like
I have the insight of like literally having worked with you on these events, but also having seen you manage the team, work with the team, assign those roles and things. And some things that I think that you do really well are making sure that no 2 people are shooting the same thing.
Yep.
Unless it's like you've got, multiple athletes on multiple different floors or things. Like, you can have 2 people shooting mediums on the floor with them if they're 2 different athletes in 2 different parts of the comp, But if you have multiple people covering a single athlete or a single competition floor, you don't want everybody shooting the same thing because your edit's going to, again, be boring as all hell. It's not going to tell the full story of what went on there. And I think the cool thing about fitness especially, though, is like, especially because, let's face it, fitness people consume a lot of fitness content. We all know usually what those things feel like or how badly that might have sucked to do. So like to tell the story of it, you don't necessarily need to shoot every waking second of it. It's actually pretty boring. You want to get those, exciting things, the movement, the explosiveness of fitness. You want to get all of those pieces, but not necessarily just like a camera on sticks in the corner, filming the whole floor the whole time. And that's why I think fitness is so much fun, because like it is more challenging to make not exciting because the nature of it is already very exciting.
Yeah. So I think what really sets me filming by myself and me filming with the team is all of those thoughts that I have in my head of like the variety of shots, of where I need to be, how I need to move about the the floor itself, where they're actually competing. Like you have to tell people that whenever they're on a team, and that's regardless of their experience level. Like if you're in charge of a team, you need to take ownership of that, and you need to be able to tell people, okay, like I am responsible for this. You are responsible for this. I need you to be here at this time, at this angle, doing this. I need shots like this.
Yeah.
And giving them a sense of ownership of that, but also giving them clear and precise direction as to what your expectations are, so that you don't get a bunch of footage of the same thing or of stuff that is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And you add that variety aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that one thing, and we haven't really touched on this, but like when you communicate with your team, especially if they've never worked with you before, is don't communicate your directions in like a demeaning way. You know, like always like treat them like intelligent human beings with respect and things, and like only after they fuck up a bunch, then you can kind of like, hey, come on, get your shit together. But like, you want to tell them what to do, but not like, I don't know. I've seen this before on some like higher pressure event situations where someone would be like, well, why the hell did you do that? And they get all, bent out of shape about, oh, well, why were you shooting that shot? Like, that wasn't what we sent you down there for. And it's like, okay, well, did you tell them what you sent them down there for? Like, you got to communicate clearly.
So, and that goes back to your leadership. So if you want to talk about leading a team and how to properly lead a team, I want everyone to see that I'm working my face off, because I know they're working their face off. So if I'm going to sit back and just delegate and not do anything, that's awful leadership. Like I wouldn't want to work for somebody like that. But if they see what you're doing and how hard you're doing it, and that's going to only inspire them to match that. I think I've just always really liked the idea in the leadership style of like having that, really connecting with people and never letting them see you, even though you might have a million stressors on a competition day. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times that I've just needed a moment, but anytime that I need a moment, I don't do it out there, in front of everybody that's there, or in front of the crew, or at the crew. Like, I want my crew to come to me with any problems that they have. I want to be the firefighter. I want to be that person that, hey, if someone asks you for something, they need to ask me first. Yeah. So like, come to me with all of your issues and problems, because I need to give you the tools and the structure, the playing field, so to speak, so you can go out and do a great job.
Yeah. I think that, and this wasn't even the topic today, but I love where this is going. So, I think the most important thing a leader can do is shield their team from bullshit.
Yes.
And not be the cause of the bullshit. Like, your job as a leader
is
to problem solve.
Let me be the bad guy. I will be the bad guy to any fan, in the sports world, to any I will be the bad guy to whoever that end person is, because you're part of the team. You have enough things to worry about. You have your shot list. You have the things that you need to get.
Yeah.
Like, let me take on that stuff, and you just worry about doing there. And then if I need to talk to you, I'll talk to you. But like,
yeah, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. Well, fitness side, we talked gear for corporate. Okay.
Yeah.
Fitness is a little bit different.
Yep.
I know, again, budgets, everything, preferences, all of that can range widely. But what are you taking with you to go do a film?
Yeah, so I think it's a rule of thumb. Again, this is like specifically if you would be a handheld person.
Okay.
So
yeah, you own a gimbal, but I don't think you've ever opened it or balanced it, or I think maybe it hurt you once, and then you just put it in the closet and never touched it again.
I have. I I don't need it.
You're a handheld guy. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm also a big handheld guy.
Yeah. So with a handheld, you need to just weigh it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
So much like this red that's sitting here with us, like you have this back battery. While yes, it's forming the functional purpose of actually like charging and like actually being able to use everything. The other thing that it's doing is adding weight. You have this big base. So I use an FX3, and I have a Cine back for it.
You don't just use any FX3.
And I have a Cine back for it. And while yes, functionally like it works really well for me, the main reason why I have that is to add weight, because I have the Cine back, I have the battery on back, and then I also have the monitor on top. And all of that's going to allow me to not shake whenever I move around, getting footage. And it's gonna make for more smoother shots. Now, I realize not everyone's gonna have the budget to like buy a monitor. There are affordable options out there. You can utilize your cell phone as a monitor now.
Yeah, for Sony cameras. Yep.
You can also, I have an FX3. You can have the top handle on there, but really you can weigh it down with whatever you want. There's even batteries that you can put underneath. I'm trying to remember what.
It's the core power bases, or at least the ones that come to mind for me. I'm sure there's more brands now, but
so I think with the 24-70, you're solid.
Okay, still 24-70, man. Okay.
If you're out there, if you're working at an event and you're able to have access to all places, 24-70. If you are in the stands, if you're further away from whatever's happening, you need to have the 70-200. Both of those are f2.8s, and again, you can get the Tamron version. If you're a Sony person, you can get the Sony version. Like it doesn't necessarily.
Tamron makes lenses for Sony too.
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like, I don't want to get too in the weeds with equipment, but you definitely need.
You need a good all-arounder, and you need something that can reach out and touch somebody, because chances are you might not always be on the floor. So that's sports photography, event photography, 70-200 is classic focal length. And then, if you're going handheld, weigh your rig down, right?
I think the most important thing, and this is for strictly like outdoor events, is like an ND filter.
Oh, God, yes.
Like.
Oh, dear. Otherwise, you're going to be shooting everything at f/22 in direct sunlight.
There are some shortcuts you can do when it's like talking head stuff, like, or not talking head, but just like some still stuff that, I'll just bump up the shutter to like whatever ridiculous amount. But for fitness and things like that, I think an ND filter is extremely important. It's something that I carry around with me. I mean, I have 2 different ones that I utilize for certain situations, and it's made a huge difference for me, because a lot of the times even if you know that you're outside and sun, stuff like that, you don't necessarily know how the sun's going to reflect off of certain things and just like actually just completely blow stuff out. So I've had stuff where like the sun's come down on the stands, and then that stands like create that like
so the stand is silver and the sun comes out from behind a cloud, and all of a sudden the stand is just white hot inferno, or heaven forbid like anything on the comp floor be white, like white, just pure white, just freaking throws light back in your face.
So equipment you need to really just knock it out of the park for fitness, competition style. 24-70 if you have close access, 70-200 if you're a little bit further away. Weigh down your camera if you're handheld. And how you do that is by having an on-camera monitor, by having
a battery pack or something.
A battery pack, or having a handle, stuff like that. Those are the main things that you need, and then everything else out of that are just bonuses. You're not in a situation where you're going to need a tripod. Some people do monopod. I'm completely against that, because I like movement in all of my shots. You're not going to need a slider. You're not going to need all these other stuff. Really, you just need a very compact setup that is able to move and manipulate with your subject, with that athlete.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think that especially in fitness, handheld is king. Like,
handheld's king regardless.
Well, handheld is king regardless.
I'm slightly biased.
With the FX3s, okay, you've also got, with most lenses, you've got image stabilization in the lens. The camera body itself has, passive, active, and full sensor stabilization. So, like, even if you don't weigh your rig down a ton, you can still get steady shots by practicing holding the camera close, bent knees, elbows, the whole gimbal walk thing without a gimbal. So there's really, no excuse, but like nothing allows you to move the camera more freely than just
Yeah.
pointing it at what you want.
And to speak about like camera movements and things like that, you just hit on like I think I called it. Did you call it the ninja walk? Because I call it the ninja walk.
I call it the gimbal walk, but ninja walk.
Ninja
same
walk.
Thing. The bent knee. You know, whether you're
yeah.
holding the gimbal or you're holding the camera. You know, you're in tight. Your arms are bent. Your knees are bent. You're walking.
Because
along.
I'm always handheld. The amount of looks that I've gotten over the years when I'm like ninja walking is crazy. Yeah. So like that's really important. Then I always like to, with every single movement that people do, I like to have different variety of shots. So whether it's a left to right, right to left, up, down, zoom in, zoom out, pan. Like I like to have a variety of that.
Crash zooms into the fitness world. Very Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do a little bit of everything just because of that idea of variety that we keep hitting on. And also it's good to have more to pick from, because what you can do now, again, this is going back to repurposing that I think we talked about in last podcast. The idea of you have a client, all that kind of stuff. So you create content for that fitness event. But when that event is over, if you have other angles that you didn't use, if you have really good shots that you just like, whatever reason couldn't, hey, brand, athlete.
You've got more footage to work with.
I have all this extra footage. Like I'd love to keep making you stuff based off of the feedback that I've gotten in the previous ones. Like, would that be something that would interest you? There you go.
Your follow-up game is on point, almost as much as your pre-pro game.
I mean, those have been the two pillars of my business. Like, really strong pre-production, and then just really good communication. Like whether that's, having conversations while you're there or afterwards or whatever. It's like, I always look at it where, and this is the point at which I'm hoping to get to, and that I've seen a lot of people get to, is like they're able to choose who they work with.
Yep.
Where it's like, I don't have the capacity. I don't want to hire a bunch of employees. I want all that overhead. I don't want all that kind of stuff. I just want to get to a point where I can be selective with who I work with. And once you're selective about who you work with, you can really dive deep.
Yeah. Because at that point, you're very known for the thing that you're doing, and people are going to seek you based on that.
Yeah.
But, well, fantastic stuff. I think that we've covered a lot of ground in events. I think that, like you said earlier, the most important thing is to know what your deliverables are, know what purpose you're serving. Again, what the final outcome is for why you're there. Don't overshoot, but shoot enough that maybe you could, razzle dazzle on the follow up, and perhaps lead to some more work or some more deliverables in the future.
You're already there. You're already filming. You already have the content.
That's true. They already paid for you to show up with your camera. So, after that, you really just build more relationship and, hopefully earning some more post-production hours. Yep. So now I want to bring it home. And as you already know, we end episodes with two things. We end them with a hot take. And what should people go and, read, listen, watch, learn? My hot take for events is if you're a event planner or an event manager and you're not paying for lights in your event, especially if it's a corporate event, you have just kneecapped every creative that you've hired to be there. Top-down lighting in a corporate ballroom is some of the nastiest shit I have ever seen in my life. And if you're spending all that money to get your company there, frickin' spend the extra money, have that AV company set up a nice stage wash, have them do some ambient lights. Like, come on, guys, don't do the built-in ballroom top-down lighting. Nobody looks good lit from overhead or from directly below. All right, nobody looks good. So no matter how much you've paid your videographer or your video production company, if you have skimped on the lighting budget for your event, it's gonna look bad.
Yeah, I mean that's stuff that you should, make sure you bring up on the pre-production call.
Pre-production plug.
That I love. My one hot take, and this is actually more of like a pet peeve type scenario.
Oh.
Whenever the event recap video, if that's what they request, like a highlight video, just has a bunch of like food or like stuff like that, where it's just like, yeah, I mean, I get that, it was really good food, maybe like a good sandwich or whatever, but like you don't have to have an aggressive amount of food on the actual highlight. I don't even show any. And
That's a very niche pet peeve.
Well, I got the feedback, and it was great feedback. The one time, I was a little bit earlier on, and I, was just kind of trying to grab the essence of that room, like that we spoke about, and
you shot too much food.
I shot like a lot of like the food and like the like those like if you people are very familiar with like the wedding aspect where it's a buffet and they have those things that flip up.
Yeah.
Like I was like filming all that kind of stuff. And, I sent the final delivery, like, we don't need all this food. And I'm like, oh, like, I guess it actually doesn't make any sense to have all that. Like, that's a very good point. So since that day, like, I've completely avoided, like, food elements in corporate events.
Interesting. I'll still get, like, one or two. Like, but it's, like, that's another one. Like, people never look good eating. So like if you want to
go down, man.
If you want to convey as part of the story of the event that there was really good food, like get a couple shots of people dishing, or like maybe they have like, I don't know, a taco bar or something, there's somebody making tacos, like get a shot of somebody making one, handing it to somebody. Don't film people eating.
There are two times that you get breaks at corporate events. One, when happy hour turns into like 3 more hours, you just want to get that first like 20 minutes to an hour. Just get that people having their first drink. Yeah. And then you have that nice break. And then dinner, same thing. Like, okay, maybe get people like as they're like sitting down, or if they have a speaker, like real quick.
Okay.
But like as soon as like they start like taking bites,
like kill it. Yeah,
that's when you get your second break.
And also, like, people are very aware when you're shooting them and they're eating. They're like, oh, they'll get all weird, or they'll like won't make eye contact. Or just one time, I had this one lady just stare me down.
Yeah,
I was trying to film like just wides of the room while people were eating, and she was just like, it was weird. All right, so I think solid hot takes. Less food in your corporate events. Light that shit. Pay for the lighting. Otherwise, no matter how much you've paid your photographer or your videographer or whomever, it's not going to look good. Okay? If the AV company asks you if you want a stage wash and you've got a stage, say yes. Just do everybody a favor and say yes. All right. So then, bringing it home on something more positive, what is something that people should go watch, read, listen, or learn?
This could also kind of be a hot take, too.
Oh.
I think people should listen more to the music that actually like inspires them, or like gets them thinking, or like gets them in a certain mindset, instead of listening to endless podcasts.
Oh, okay.
So
well, this is the last time we'll have JT on here.
Oh, well,
because this is the podcast. You just said don't.
I said endless podcasts.
I get what you're saying, though.
Assume that you were listening to multiple. But I would listen more to more music, especially if you're like, when you're on your way to a gig, listen to the song that you're going to use in your highlight video, or your whatever. If you're about to go edit, like listen to some music that gets you like in the right mindset.
What people should check out this week is actually Filmmakers Academy. It used to be Hurlbut Academy. Shane Hurlbut's a DP, and he's really devoted a lot of his career to education and teaching people things. And I had a membership for a long time. I actually still watch their free videos. Admittedly, I'm not a member right now, but it's a fantastic learning platform. I picked up a ton of great filmmaking tricks from him and from the crews and people that they've had on there speaking. So Filmmakers Academy, formerly Hurlbut Academy, but they also do some live workshops and things. So if you're looking for another resource for education in the filmmaking space, that would be my recommendation for the day. But JT, bring us home. Where can people find you, follow you, do business with you, track you down, haunt you, stalk you?
Sounds
don't do any of those last few.
I would give my address if we're going to stalk me. No, LinkedIn. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. J.T. Healy. That'd be great. I share a lot of my corporate work on there that you might come across. Also, website is jthealy.com. Same type of deal. You can see all my work there and contact me, and let's make some great memories together, huh?
Is that your pitch for?
I don't know. I feel like
memories?
every videographer has some type of tagline. I don't really have a tagline, so.
You don't need one. Your essence, precedes you. Well, If you enjoyed this episode, this is a bit of a wild one, but I hope that you found some informative value. Let us know down in the comments below what questions about corporate event or fitness event, video and photo capture that you might have, whether you're looking to put on an event and you want some pointers, or maybe you're looking to go capture an event and want to hear from two kind of grizzled curmudgeons.
Seasoned veterans.
Seasons vegetables?
Seasoned veterans.
Oh, that makes more sense than vegetables. We haven't eaten lunch yet. Things are getting a little loopy here. But please, if you've enjoyed this content so far, consider subscribing. Give us a like. You can find us on wherever you get your podcast as well as YouTube. Thank you so much for listening or watching this episode of the Hard Copy Media Podcast. We will see you in the next one.
See ya.